Welcome everyone to today's presentation by Sisense and D-Zone, Unlocking Your Data, Strategies and Best Practices for Embedded Analytics. My name is Corey Knowles. I'm the Managing Editor of Business Intelligence at Technology Advice, and I'll be your moderator today. Just a quick housekeeping note before we get rolling. There'll be a Q&A portion following the presentation, so as questions come to mind, go ahead and drop those in the chat. It lets them get them queued up for us so we can get through as many as possible. But we're thrilled to be joined by Jesse Subin. Jesse is a senior product marketing manager at Sisense. And in this talk, Jesse will be discussing key focus areas for business intelligence and data analytics by application development and product teams. So who's been watching the Olympics along the way? Well, if you have, you'll find today's presentation just a little extra interesting. Please join me today in welcoming Jesse Subin.
Thanks, and hello everyone. So before we get started, thank you for joining me today on this deep dive into best practices for building your analytics products. My name's Jesse, and I'm really excited to share some insights from my journey through the data analytics space. And before we get started, here's a little intro on myself. So over the last 6 years or so, I've had the privilege of really immersing myself in the world of both OLTP as well as OLAP databases. I've been able to explore the art and science of building data pipelines to and from these systems, and really understanding how to not only make data accessible and visible, but really leverage it as a driver for business growth. And as a product marketer, as I've spent time across the embedded analytics space, I would like to say that I've been able to acquire a unique perspective on this, and I've had countless conversations with various companies across different verticals that are really at the forefront of innovation. And there are people that are pushing the boundaries of what's possible when analytics are, what I would like to say, seamlessly woven into your applications. And when doing so, I've noticed that there have been two use cases that seem to consistently rise on top of the discussions. One, I would say, is from the internal perspective, when companies are focusing on operational efficiency. That's when you're thinking about how much dev time is being spent, how your sales pipelines are performing, or really countless other metrics that are giving you a sense of understanding on how the business is running. But there's also another side of the coin here, which is the external perspective, and that's where data monetization comes into play. And many companies seem to have struggles in achieving this, and they really are focused on empowering end users and customers with data insights. And they want a way to create new revenue streams while delivering a great customer experience. And that's what today's webinar is all about. We'll dive deep into some strategies and best practices that you should keep in mind when you're trying to achieve these goals. So let's get started. So first, I'd like to explore some hurdles that organizations seem to encounter as they strive to build analytics into their products. And there are two primary areas that we should really focus our attention. The first is going to be evolving user expectations. So today, everyone lives in a digital world, and information is pretty much available at your fingertips. And because of this, expectations for analytics, they've only gone up, and they demand a few different focus areas. And those are going to be these three that you see here. When we think about simplified user experiences, the days of complex analytics or complex interfaces, they're gone. Users expect the same level of ease that they would find in their favorite apps. They want nice visuals, drag and drop interactions, and even natural language queries that make it easy to uncover your insights. And then there's also real-time personalized insights or personalization for that matter. End users, they seem to look for data that's up to date, even up to the minute, and it has to be tailored to their specific needs and the context in which they are trying to access it. So they simply want to see how their actions impact outcomes in real time, and they expect analytics to anticipate their needs and proactively surface relevant information. And then let's not forget about AI powered capabilities as well. As AI continues to advance, users are increasingly looking for intelligent features. So this could be things like natural language processing or even predictive analytics. And they want analytics to not only bring insights to their workflows and decision making process, but also offer recommendations. And they really wanted to guide their decision making. And as their needs and expectations grow, the burden of all of this only continues to fall on the dev teams. So the resources, they become stretched thin, the time is lost in the build process, and it not only leads to increased costs, but the impact is also on user adoption. It leads to lower user adoption. In addition, a few other points I'd like to call out. Internal dev teams, they may also lack specific expertise or even the tools that's required to build and deliver these features. And then now that there's this whole advancement of AI, so when you have capabilities like LLMs or large language models, maybe even self-service components, they're simply becoming table stakes at this point. I would say that from the companies I spoke to in the past and the customers that they were catering to, they want to interact directly with the data and the insights. They don't want to rely on technical help. And to be frank, if you can't provide this level of user experience, then your application simply risks falling behind the competition. Developer and product teams, they're the ones that are focused on the tools that they need to be able to accelerate the time to market and ultimately empower the users so that, as a company, you can stay ahead of the curve. So the next challenge I'd like to call out, which I touched on briefly, is data monetization. The landscape, it's really shifting today. Almost every application has evolved into a data application, and when customers pay for access to your service or your software, they expect analytics to really be there when they need them. A few different ways that this ties into the application of data. So we can think about these three examples of verticals where data is being applied. So for the first example, an e-commerce retailer, let's say a customer wants to easily know which products are trending, which ones are cheaper, how their own behavior compares to others. That's actually the screenshot that you're seeing here. It's like you're buying something on a website. You want to know what product is more popular. You want to know which one is priced better than others. That's just one example of how data becomes available in real time for e-commerce. But then, healthcare is another big one. When providers, for example, when they need insights into things like patient populations or treatment outcomes, or maybe even operational metrics that can help them deliver better care. It also plays a huge role across financial services. Customers of financial services or firms that deliver things related to investments or portfolio analysis, they need to be able to provide real time insights and let their customers know how their investments are performing. And these are just a few examples of how data affects consumers across various industries. But the point I'm trying to get across here is that there's a common thread across this, which is empowering businesses to be able to monetize their data by providing valuable insights to their customers, which is both an opportunity as well as a challenge. And in this webinar, we'll explore how to navigate these complexities and build data products that not only exceed user expectations, but also help you unlock new revenue streams. So before we continue, I'd like to take a brief moment here. We have a poll for you guys. Looks like we're getting some responses on monetizing data effectively. Wow. Let's give it a few more seconds. Yeah, features and functionality is a big one as well. Um, I think you should get some good insight on that today. You need to be able to strike a balance between how you can deliver the features that users are expecting, while still being able to deliver it in a way that helps your business grow. And that's where we touch on the monetization piece. Give it maybe just a half a minute or so. Alrighty. So with that being said, let's continue on. So over here, I'd like to pivot towards a crucial best practice in embedded analytics, which is data democratization. At its core, data democratization is about essentially empowering everyone within an organization. Not just the technical users. So when you think about people like data scientists or data engineers, someone that's more technical across the IT team, it shouldn't just be them who can access and leverage data across decision making. And self-service experiences play a very big role in achieving this. So on this note, there are three core tenets that I would like to highlight, that should be really on top of your mind when you're building data products. The first point is empowering developers to build rich experiences. Your dev teams, they should feel enabled. They shouldn't feel constrained by the tools that they're using to build analytics into your products. The goal is to deliver capabilities that not only meets but also exceeds end user expectations. And what I mean by this is two things. One is providing developers with flexible and intuitive tools that allow them to integrate analytics easily into the user interface, and it needs to align with the design and user experience principles that are guiding the development. The second point I would say is focusing on the end user experience throughout the development process. The data should be readily accessible, and the insights should be presented in a way that is both visually appealing and also easy to understand. Second point is allow users to create and customize. So when we think about end users, they should be able to interact directly with the data, and they should be able to create and customize reports as well as the visuals as they need them. And when you can do this or successfully do this, that's where it bypasses the reliance on technical resources. So self-service tools, when you have things like drag and drop or no code capabilities, such as what you're seeing in the GIF here, that's really what puts data exploration and storytelling directly into the hands of business users. And it also allows them to answer their own questions. They can also perform analysis on their own, and it really gives them a way to gain deeper insights without having to wait for someone else provide them with the data. And then the third point on this slide as well, you need to be able to customize and integrate data right where it's needed the most. Data should be integrated into the user's workflow, and it should appear precisely where it's needed the most. When you can do this, it allows you to toggle between multiple, or sorry, I meant to say it eliminates the need to go through multiple tools or applications when you're accessing relevant information. You don't have to manually compile data from different sources anymore. And the time that is wasted searching for insights, it becomes available to do other things. And when you're embedding analytics directly into the context of the user's work, you dramatically enhance productivity and then also decision making. As you can see in the GIF as well, self-service capabilities allow you to quickly filter and visualize insights without really any technical assistance or even the need to write a single line of code. This is truly the power of data democratization. And as we progress, it's also important that you address another critical aspect of modern analytics or embedding best practices. And that's enabling advanced analytics capabilities that were once reserved for highly technical users. So Here I'd like to explore two powerful examples that illustrate what this trend looks like. The first here is a GIF that shows you an example of natural language conversations. So imagine a user that is simply typing in a question like, show me customer trends in the past quarter. And they immediately receive a response in the format of maybe even a table or a visualization. And it eliminates the need to construct complex queries. You don't need to navigate difficult menus. And natural language interfaces make data exploration really accessible for everyone. It doesn't matter what their technical background is. And when you're selecting a platform to build your analytics, you should prioritize the solutions that offer these things out of the box so that you can quickly integrate this into the type of conversational experience that your users expect. The second example here is query recommendations and data visualizations. So what I mean by this is guided data exploration. It's another powerful tool when you're thinking about advanced analytics. So think about a user who is starting out with a simple question and then being presented with a series of intelligent recommendations for further exploration. The platform is doing the work for you. It's kind of helping your data exploration process. It's powered by things like retrieval augmented generation, which leverages both LLMs as well as natural language to suggest relevant queries and visuals. This approach that you're seeing here, that we just touched on, it's truly what accelerates the discovery of insights and empowers users to dive deep into their data. It's a prime example of how AI is transforming the way we interact with and how we understand information. And as developers, it's essential to keep these capabilities in mind as you're building your data products. The demand for AI, it's only increasing, and by embracing these technologies, you'll have a way to empower your users to unlock deeper insights and make better decisions. It's also going to be something that allows you to stay ahead of the curve. I know that data monetization was a really big, a really important thing from the last poll. So that's, when you have these AI capabilities that your end users can leverage, it's also something that's going to help you stay ahead of the curve. So with that being said, this brings us to our next poll here, which is how important is AI for your data strategy? Looks like we're getting a lot of responses on very important, which is, oh, almost even. If I had to make a guess here, I would say that somewhat important may allude to not having the bandwidth or the capabilities or tools to deliver those. Very important, I think, is something that I was hoping, and it looks like, yeah, there's a lot of people answering on the very important side. And I think that's the way to look at this, because it it really comes down to the customer, the end user. They're the ones who are focused on um, saving time, and they want to use something that meets expectations. It's in line with what the other applications are accessing. And AI is something that's only growing in interest today. It's something that it's really becoming table stakes. I think we got enough responses. Let's go ahead and close that poll, and let's continue on. So as we dive deeper into best practices, let's turn our attention to another critical component. Um, it's something equally important. I do want to call this out, even though it's something that's kind of already expected. But when you're building data products, especially those that involve embedded analytics, safeguarding data is extremely important. It's not just about protecting sensitive information, but it's also about maintaining trust with your users and ensuring compliance. And I like to take a brief moment to call out some key considerations that you should keep top of mind. as you embark on your embedded analytics solution or your journey in building your data product. The first tier is customer data isolation and encryption. So data isolation, it's something that you should keep in mind because it ensures customers' data remains separate and secure, and it prevents unauthorized access, or what I like to say is cross-contamination. You get end-to-end encryption, both at rest as well as in transit, and it adds another layer of protection. It's something that makes data unreadable to anyone who does not have the access or the proper keys to see it. Another point here, industry recognized certifications. You should look for analytic solutions that have achieved certifications like these. It's something that demonstrates a commitment to information security, best practices around that, as well as going through rigorous audits. And they provide assurance that the data that you are giving them is in safe hands. There's also a third point, which I don't have mentioned here, but I would like to call out, and it's equally important, which is access control and role-based security. You have to keep in mind and make sure that you have a way to govern who can access data and the actions that they can take upon that data. Role-based security will really streamline this process by assigning permissions based on user roles and responsibilities. And when you prioritize all of these aspects from the start, it's what will allow you to build a foundation of trust. You protect your data, you ensure the long-term success of your analytics initiatives, and you also make the users feel comfortable with the information they're giving you and letting you manage. So with that being said, I'd like to bring everything that we just went over into a real-world example. And as we briefly mentioned in the very beginning, who's been watching the Olympics today, we actually have a real-world success story with one of our valued customers, which is USA Swimming. As the national governing body for competitive swimming in the US, USA Swimming manages a significant amount of data related to athletes, to the competitions they participate in, the rankings and performance, the times of the laps that they swim, etc. The list goes on. However, they faced several challenges in their previous analytics setup, and let's take a quick look at that. USA Swimming struggled to dynamically segment and visualize their data within Power BI, and that limited their ability to uncover meaningful insights and trends. So when you think about athletes on the team and the competitions they were performing in, as I mentioned, their lap times, their rankings, it was very difficult to access and to provide to the people who wanted to know. So if I'm someone who is a competitive swimmer and I want to get better, or I want to see how I rank with these professionals, it was really hard for me to get that insight. And their membership base also, it has over 400,000 individuals that all rely on these insights regarding competitive swimming data. And then after leveraging Sisense, they were able to unlock advanced segmentation and visuals that allowed their users to drill into and interact with the data in ways that they were never able to before. They could also do it with scale now. It was easy for users to access data on mobile devices. The analytics on their public website were user-friendly. They were really empowering various user groups, whether they're swimmers, coaches, fans, anyone that needed to access the data on demand. And they also had report update times that were dramatically reduced from weeks to the same day, which ensured that everyone was able to get access to the up-to-date information right when they needed it. And we also had a way to quantify the impact here. They had 3 times faster loading times on their website, which was a significant improvement in user experience. As I mentioned before, over 400,000 users were accessing data on their website, which is really a testament to the platform's accessibility as well as the value that they deliver. And then their internal dev time, it went for the maintenance and updates, it was reduced from weeks to less than a day, which is a massive boost in efficiency. And the reason I brought up this success story is because I wanted to illustrate a way how embedded analytics can really transform an organization from an internal perspective while also delivering a really successful user experience. USA Swimming has been able to empower their members and really enhance the overall experience for anyone who is accessing their website to look at the data. As a quick recap, 3 points I'd like to mention, which also tie back to the points discussed previously. Data democratization. USA Swimming is putting data directly into the hands of their members. They're allowing people to look at the data through self-service capabilities. They also employ advanced analytics because the platform has interactive visuals. They also offer drill down capabilities that give you deeper data exploration. And then from a user experience perspective, everyone can access the data right when they need it, and they do this without any technical help. And before we continue on here, I'd like to take a moment to introduce one more poll to you guys. And that is on a scale of 1 to 5, how likely are you to explore embedded analytics solutions for your organization in the next 6 months? So think about this from the perspective of, what do your customers expect? What does your data journey look like? And what stage are you within your project of building analytics into your products? Give it another few seconds. Yeah, I'm actually not surprised. A lot of people are showing high interest in that. Embedded analytics is really something that's going to accelerate your path to monetizing data. It's one thing to collect data from various sources, whether it's internal or external, but then it's another to be able to leverage that data in order to drive business growth. And embedded analytics solutions are going to be a key catalyst in enabling that outcome. Thank you. Looks like we are done with that poll. So let's continue on. Before we close out this presentation, there's one more important point that I wanted to take a moment to express here, and that's how you choose to pair different technologies and solutions in order to accelerate your analytics journey. The way you stack your solutions will really have a huge influence on how quickly you can reach your analytics goals and also how impactful they will be. An example of a successful implementation that I'd like to quickly highlight is Sisense with AWS. The reason I'm saying this is because I have seen, and there are actually many today, many organizations who are leveraging Sisense on the analytics side while using AWS to scale their cloud footprint. Earlier in this presentation, we touched on time to market and how leveraging AI capabilities can help achieve this. But these outcomes, they can be delayed if the platform that you're using for your embedding doesn't support the capabilities that your users expect. And then data science and machine learning, they're pretty much table stakes at this point, which is also why it becomes really important to keep in mind when you're making a decision on which tech you're going to adopt in order to achieve your or accelerate your analytics strategy. So when we think about faster time to market, future proofing your analytics, and scaling in the cloud, these are really things that you should keep in mind, how you pair the stack or the technologies that you're going to use together. And real quickly here, as you embark on your analytics journey, I highly encourage you to keep these best practices in mind. And by leveraging the right tools and strategies, you can unlock the full potential of your data. And I really think you can achieve remarkable results, AKA being able to unlock new revenue streams. And if you're interested in learning how Sisense can help you do this, simply head to our website and hit the contact button so we can reach you. And once again, thank you for your time today. And I hope you enjoyed viewing this as much as I did presenting to you. Cheers.
Well, Jesse, thanks for the presentation. Let's move right on into the Q&A session here. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat box and we'll get them to Jesse right away. Excuse me. So first, we have one in here asking, can you elaborate on specific AI features or technologies that you see as particularly impactful for the future of data products?
You know, that's a really good question. I think that there isn't really a quick answer for this. I think that natural language processing, predictive analytics, that's kind of the realm of what you should be thinking about when you're focused on when you're focusing on specific features or technologies around AI. Things like natural language query, automated insights generation, even predictive analytics and forecasting, and then also machine learning. As I mentioned, it really comes down to the tech that you're going to be leveraging in order to build your analytics strategy. And you need to think about the capabilities that come with that solution, especially if you're considering maybe I already have something in-house that I'm maintaining, and I can maybe reduce costs to continue maintaining that solution. But as user needs continue to evolve, and as you're thinking about implementing solutions or features that are more complex today than they were, than how easy it is to implement them, especially like AI and machine learning.
Yeah.
I think it really comes down to the tech you're leveraging, and there are various components around AI that you should keep in mind.
Absolutely. All right, next we got another one here. The success story of USA Swimming highlights the benefits of data democratization and self-service analytics. Could you share some additional examples of how organizations have leveraged those kind of concepts to drive innovation and improve decision making?
Yeah, that's a great question. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, you can be a company across really any vertical, whether it's healthcare, retailer, manufacturing, financial services, e-commerce. It really doesn't matter. There's a bunch of different ways or contexts in which the data can be leveraged. For example, I can name a few right off the top of my mind. If I'm thinking about healthcare, you want to empower providers and clinicians with self-service analytics to be able to explore patient data. You need to be able to identify trends. You need to make more informed treatment decisions. If you're someone who is coming from a financial services organization, when you think about allowing investment advisors to create personalized portfolios or risk assessments for their clients based on individual goals and preferences, or even in retail, maybe you have a store manager. You need to let them analyze sales data. They need to be able to track inventory levels. They maybe even need to optimize pricing or promotions in real time. These are all things that apply to business growth. I would say, regardless of which vertical your company belongs in, think about where your revenue streams come from and where are you trying to grow the way you're interacting with customers, or where your revenue is coming from. All of those places have a huge influence on their outcomes based on how effectively you can leverage data.
All right. Well, we have another one here. Looks like another one or two coming as well. You seem to have touched a lot on user experience being a large part of embedded analytics. Can you discuss the role of user feedback in ensuring the success of embedded analytics projects?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, by the way. I think it really validates one of the key points that I was trying to get across, which is keeping the customer or the end user at the center of the focus. There's a few different ways to do this. I think number one, you should definitely have a continuous feedback loop there should be mechanisms for gathering ongoing user feedback, whether it's surveys, user interviews, usage analytics. You also should have a user-centric design. You need to involve end users early and often in the design and development process to make sure that your analytics solution meets their needs and expectations. And then also, not to mention usability testing, that's really important as well. You need to be able to identify and address any potential issues across the user experience before the solution is released. So, great question. If I were to sum it up in one sentence, I would say always keep the end user at the center of your focus, especially during the development process.
Cool. Well, we have one more here right now, it looks like. From a viewer says, I'm wondering a bit about the naming. Embedded analytics would imply the data first approach to build the products, meaning that the products themselves are built in a way that suggests that your workflow should be based on existing data.
Can you say that one more time?
Yep. User says that embedded analytics would imply this data first approach to building the products, meaning that the products themselves are built in a way where they suggest that your, as a user, workflow should be based on existing data.
So the way I would think about that is, the core idea of embedded analytics, it's to seamlessly integrate data and insights directly into applications. You're making data an intrinsic part of the user experience. And while it aligns with the data first approach, data is considered a primary driver of the product design and decision making. But when you're embedding analytics, it's a process that you're thinking about. It's not really. I think, to be honest with you, you can name it whatever you want. I mean, we have customers at Sisense that are leveraging the platform, but it's a very seamless experience. The end users of our customers, they don't even know that they're using Sisense. I mean, let's go back to USA Swimming, for example. I can go on their website today and I can start accessing all the data that they provide. I can look at the records that they're keeping across all the performance for the athletes. But at no point in time am I going to even realize that I'm going into Sisense in order to access that data. So embedding analytics, it's really it's more of a methodology. So I would focus more so on the process rather than being too focused on kind of the naming conventions or how data influences that.
Cool. Well, Jesse, how can people learn more about Sisense?
To be honest with you, the easiest way, just simply head over to sisense.com. It's really, really easy to get in contact with us. And to be honest with you, we have a ton of resources that dive much deeper into all of the points that I shared across here today. If you're interested in AI and self-service and how we can not only accelerate your build process, but also deliver better user experiences, you can find a ton of that on our website today. We have sections broken down based on specific capabilities. We also have a ton of success stories that highlight the points that were articulated today as well. But if you're simply trying to get in touch with us, feel free to reach out to me directly. I believe my information it should be listed here as well. Otherwise, simply just head over to sisense.com and hit the contact button, and it's very, very easy to use.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today. Your strategies already have me kind of mulling ways to better utilize the potential of the data we already have. We also want to thank all of you for attending today's webinar. We hope you found the session valuable and informative. Before we conclude, I'd like to remind everyone that a recording of this webinar will be available shortly. If you have any further questions or would like more information, please reach out. Once again, thank you, Jesse, Sisense, and everyone who joined us today. Good luck on your never-ending quest to live smarter through technology.
Thank you, guys.